Hi, everyone. This is a special bonus edition of Hallmark Movie Drafts, where we're going to rank the six Christmas movies that premiered on Netflix in November and December. I'm Lynn, usually your HMD host, but today I'm drafting and I'm joined by Kate Bacca, a key member of the HMD podcast team. You guys all know who she is. She's knowledgeable and opinionated. She watches all movies, not just Hallmark movies, and she's a really savvy drafter. And I'm not going to lie, Kate, I'm really nervous about going up against you today.
No, I'm sure we have the exact same top six list today.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be all love. We've never drafted against one another at
Nope.
all. We haven't even been on the same panel together. But with the recording schedule for HMD for the holiday, 10 Best Holiday Edition 2024, those movies don't end until December 20th or 21st. So we're not actually recording that show until the middle of January. It's Vanessa, Brian, and Mary again for like the third year in a row. And all of us have like travel plans or family plans. So we're just going to push it till after the first of the year and drop it then. But I really wanted to be able to drop a holiday theme. It's like December 15th. Are you done with your holiday shopping? Are you
I'm
psyched?
I'm ready. We've been watching Christmas movies since October, so I've been in the mood for months now.
Sure. Speaking of October, you actually just drafted in the non-holiday movie draft.
Yeah, and I finally won one. I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, yeah, congratulations. Yeah, okay. Actually the final winner who's going to be part of the 2024 HMD Championship tournament, and that'll kick off later in January as well. But anyway, fortunately, Netflix has six offerings this holiday season, and three of them feature, familiar Hallstars on Hallmark. So that's what I thought this would be perfect if we could, draft these six. So it's a different format. So listeners, here it's really all about all the movies are going to make the list, and it's all about the ranking. I know I have strong opinions, Kate, of which movies I think should be in the top three, maybe even the number one. I don't know about you.
I have thoughts about each movie.
Keeping your cards close to your chest, as always. This is what I was worried about. Okay, fine. So, Kate, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody, what the titles are and the format, and then we'll just get started. It's going to be like Fast and Furious.
Okay, great. So we have six eligible movie titles that aired in November and December on Netflix. First was Meet Me Next Christmas, then Hot Frosty, The Merry Gentleman, Our Little Secret, That Christmas, and then the one that just premiered this past weekend was Carry On. So we've each got our own ranked list. We haven't shared that info with each other. And now we're going to work together or against each other to create a definitive list of the top six Netflix 2024 Christmas movies. There are two drafting positions. Each position gets one veto, and we use a randomizer to decide who gets to choose their drafting position. We're not going to do trivia on this episode.
Thank God.
Drafter B picks 6, 4, and 2, and drafter A will pick 5, 3, and number 1.
Okay, so fire up the randomizer. Let's see who gets to pick their drafting position, and we're just gonna get started. We'll take the gloves off and see what happens.
Have it spinning, and I hope you can hear that little sound effect, but if it doesn't come through, it's cute.
I
Uh,
trust you.
I have a winner, and it's Lynn. You get to pick first.
Oh God, I was dreading this. You know what? I think I think I'm gonna be drafter B. So
Okay,
I'll get picks six, four, and two.
got
And
it. So
then
I will have 5, 3, and 1.
and one. All right. And we each get one veto. So let me think. What do I want for number six? Okay, I've got it. For number six, I'm going to play The Merry Gentleman. So, Kate, have you ever been to a Thunder from Down Under male review show or a Chippendale show?
I actually have gone to a Chippendale show in Vegas at a bachelorette party. And
So,
yeah,
yeah, and I'm sure you guys were just as well behaved as this audience was in this movie.
this audience of like 10 people.
10 people who didn't throw a dollar and didn't tuck a dollar. I mean,
Yeah.
never seen anything like it, but I digress. All right, so this is Britt Robinson and Chad Michael Murray. Britt's been in a ton of stuff. Chad Michael Murray, of course, is One Tree Hill, tons of Hallmark stuff, lots of TV and film things. Beth Broderick is in this as the mom. I love her. She's in a dozens of Hallmark movies. She's probably my favorite Hallmark mom. And Marla Sokoloff is in one of my favorite time loop Groundhog's Day rom-coms, 2012's A Christmas Wedding Date, which is an Ion movie. It premiered there. You can stream it basically anywhere. And she plays the sister. So you've got for writers Jeffrey Schenectady, Peter Sullivan, and Marla Sokoloff wrote it as well. And it was directed by Peter Sullivan. So basically, it's, the story of a big city Rockette style dancer who gets fired because she's too old. She goes back home and tries to rescue her family's local bar. I can't even remember the name of it, but they're behind on the rent and the bills, and the landlord's gonna, rent it to somebody else. And she decides that she wants to save the bar by doing a male review show, and she recruits Luke, that's Chad Michael Murray, um, who's like a small town carpenter, handyman. He does all kinds of things, and she gets her brother-in-law also. I mean, just a lot of real wait, what's in this? I would say this is very wholesome holiday riff on Magic Mike. You might call it shirts off for Christmas because that's basically all they took off. So, um, what can I say? Right out of the gate, it's got some funny lines, some good banner between Chad Michael Murray and Britt. There's no surprises in this storyline. You know how it's going to end up. Um, I think the biggest surprise is that in real life, Chad Michael Murray is like a father of three. He's got like a six pack that's outstanding. But that was really the only surprise. There's some wait, what's? Did these guys even get paid for their dancing? I didn't see any money changing hands. And as I already said, this is the most well-behaved group of women I've ever seen in an audience. No one got handsy, no one was tucking any bills. Um, but it was harmless, good, fun, very much in the Hallmark style. But it wasn't my favorite out of the six choices, so that's why I'm playing it at number six.
Maybe I was right when I said that we had the exact same list because I also have this at number six. So, like, I just sometimes these movies make the most of like a minimal budget that they were given, but this is just not one of them. Like, from the wannabe Rockette sequence at the beginning to Britt Robertson's hideous wig, this movie just felt really cheap. Like, the promise of a Christmas movie version of Magic Mike completely underdelivered. It ended up being a bad Hallmark movie with some abs. And, I'm a Chad Michael Murray fan, and it doesn't feel like he phoned this in, but he didn't have much to work with. And I also really like Marla Sokoloff, who, as you mentioned, wrote this and played the sister. So I wish I had better things to say, but I was disappointed. And they also wasted Maxwell Caulfield, aka Rex Manning. So yeah.
Rex, exactly. Good call on calling him out. Yeah, it was a big waste, And sometimes when I see the male review stuff, play in a movie, my head goes immediately to one of my all-time favorite movies, The Proposal. So all
Yeah.
I can think of in my head is Oscar Nunez, in Sitka, Alaska, doing what was he? He's like a postmaster, a general store clerk, and the one and only guy that was, taking off his clothes and dancing in the bar. But yeah. Okay, great. So far we agree. The Merry Men at number six. Your turn.
All right. So at number five, I have That Christmas.
Veto.
Oh, all right. All right.
So we will
Uh,
talk about it when it next gets played.
all right. So I'm just going to move up my list. So number five is going to be, you don't have any more vetoes.
I know, I'm out of Vetus.
It's going to be Our Little Secret, the Lindsay Lohan movie.
You're killing me.
I
You are
know, I'm sorry. I had this
killing
at
me.
four, so I really wanted to like this one more. Like, I'm here for the little renaissance, and as established in our last podcast, you can count me in for the Anne Harding fan club. But in the end, this one just kind of fell flat. Like there've been a lot of this like meet the parents takeoffs this Christmas, like in Hallmark and on this Netflix movie, and maybe it's starting to wear thin for me. Kristen Chenoweth was funny and totally game, but her character just frustrated me. And then I don't know, like the cartoon kiss at the end of the movie was like hands down better than the actual like human kiss at the end of this movie. So it's just, I think it's miles better than Merry Gentlemen, like totally different in quality and everything, but it just ended up at number 4 on my list. And sorry, it
I
sounds like you don't agree with that.
I don't agree. This was in the top three on my Kate, I'm gonna have a drink of wine. Just
Cheers.
before you get started. Cheers. I'm drinking, oh, of course, I'm drinking red. You're drinking white. What are you drinking?
I
Yeah.
have a Sauv Blanc, just a simple one from Napa. What do you have?
I have a Cabernet
Nice.
from California. I don't know exactly where, but yeah, I think what I liked about this movie was really Kristen Chenoweth
Hmm.
and Ian Harding, taking nothing away from Lindsay Lohan. I absolutely adore her. I'm here for the Lohan-essence as well.
Yeah.
Um, and I just expected more out of it because I know that the director was Stephen Herrick and he directed Mr. Holland's Opus,
Hmm.
Bill and Ted's Great Adventure. So he's no slouch, right? And I would have thought that maybe he would get more out of this cast because they had some banger people in here. Tim Meadows was
Yeah,
in
love
this. That
him.
was like a really nice little, you know, a little treat as well. It had some funny moments. This is like the winter of Ian Harding for me. I'm just rediscovering how much I really love his acting style and his presence and his choices. I thought there was some really funny bits in it. Like the whole thing about the chocolate chip cookies and the vet and the dog, I thought was really hilarious. I thought Lindsay Lohan did a really good job. Um, the brother with his gummies, his CBD gummies, and his whole attitude, just the crazy family dynamics. And really, Kristen Chenoweth just being like so passive aggressive and then absolutely obviously aggressive towards Lindsay's character
Yeah.
was funny too. So I liked the writing, I liked the cast. When I finished watching this movie, I watched another movie that Lindsay Lohan's in on Netflix called Irish Wedding, and I really enjoyed that
Oh,
one.
Irish Wish. Yeah.
Yeah, Irish
Yeah.
Wish, yeah.
Hmm.
And I thought that was really good. So I'm disappointed, but it is number 5,
Look,
so
I
I'm
liked
gonna
it.
make a note.
This is my ranking. I had it number 4. So, there's just 3 more I thought were a little better. So,
All right, so our little secret is at number 5. I guess it's back to me for number 4. So, I cannot let this happen. So I'm going to play Meet Me Next Christmas
okay.
at number 4. Oh, no resistance. Okay. So Meet Me Next Christmas, I think, was actually the first one that aired for the holiday season on Netflix that
Hmm.
they were promoting. So Christina Milan, Deval Ellis, Kofi Siriboe, and my new favorite character actor, Kalen Allen, who played I guess he was the cousin who
The
was
cousin. Yeah, he was
teaching them how to
hilarious.
dance, just stole like every single scene. Every time he showed up, I just started laughing because he was just great. So in this one, again, there's no surprises. You know how this is going to turn out. You've got Christina is Layla, and she's in an airport lounge waiting for her flight, and she's trying to get home to her boyfriend, but she meets James, that's Cirabo, and they hit it off. And one thing that was different is that he actually, despite all their chemistry, and they did, I think they had really good chemistry in those scenes in the lounge. He respects the fact that she says, I actually have a boyfriend, right? So this then turns into one crazy night where he says, if we're both still single next year, this time, let's meet up at a Pentatonics concert, which they magically do, though I don't think they ever agreed on what city or state they were going to meet up at, but who cares? Details, who cares? So of course, the boyfriend breaks up with her, and then it's this mad dash to try to get tickets to this impossible sold out concert. Pentatonics is in this. They're poking fun at themselves. They are extra, extra large versions of themselves, which I thought they did a really good job. Their manager, I thought, was hilarious as well. Duvall Ellis is really solid in it. The whole cast, it was a great ensemble cast. I just didn't love it as much as I loved some of the other movies. There were no surprises. I mean, not in the storyline, but the big surprise to me was discovering Kalen Allen and just how funny he was in all of his scenes.
Yeah, no, I had this at number three, so just one more above this. Like I think that watching this movie is like a roller coaster in terms of enjoyment level. Like there are highs and lows. So the first 10 minutes was like a cheesy Christmas movie attempt at Before Sunrise, which I like. Like I love Before Sunrise, so I like that, like meet me back here in a year. Um, then there's just like a lot of frustrating, bordering on cloying hijinks that they get into and this like quest to find these tickets. And then they go to this drag show that's like totally turns it back around for me, which was like totally funny, entertaining. Their performance was great. And it like culminates in this top-notch mid-movie kiss. Like great. Brings the movie right back on the track here if we're on my roller coaster like metaphor here. There's some cozy scenes sprinkled throughout. I liked all the stuff with her and her best friend. Christina Milan's always great in these movies. And the pentatonics are like this weird, like Greek chorus, just like along for the ride throughout the movie. And they were a band that I was like tangentially aware of before this, but now I added a couple songs to my Christmas playlist. So
I did too. I was aware of them. They weren't on my playlist before, but I did
yeah,
add a couple of songs. You know, one of the things that I loved about when you and I talked about doing this Netflix episode and saying, yeah, let's watch these movies, is that it led me to watching other Netflix movies that these same stars were in, right? So I watched Christina Milan in two other rom-coms, and I really liked them. And I don't remember if these were on Netflix or if I watched them on Amazon Prime or something else, right? But it was the Netflix movie that inspired me to find them. So there's one called Falling In, INN Love from
I've watched that many
2019.
times. That was a Netflix original. It's very
Was
cute.
that a Netflix original?
Yeah.
Okay. It's the trope about I inherited an inn in New Zealand kind of thing. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I can inherit an inn from some relative that I either know or don't know. But the one that I really loved was 2021's Resort to Love, which is just hilarious. So her character is a pop star who has to sing at her ex-boyfriend's wedding at a resort. She's performing at the resort and she's got to sing at this wedding and it turns out to be her ex-boyfriend. And it's a good ride. Both of them are really good. So check those out if you haven't seen them, but you've seen Falling in Love several
Yeah, no,
times.
I've seen them and I always like her in these movies. I just feel bad. Like I think she's only in one Hallmark movie and it's not great. And I'm like, I wish they would have used her better because she just got stuck with like a weird movie, like Bill Abbott era. So
Yeah,
she would be good in these Hallmark movies if they'd get her a better script.
abs absolutely. All right, I think it's your turn, right?
Yeah, so all right. That was my number three was Meet Me Next Christmas. So
Okay.
let's see. I mean, I guess I have to go with That Christmas. So you got it moved up two spots from my original try. So That Christmas, I think it was really cute, like cute animated Christmas story that I could totally see becoming a rewatchable in many households, like for many families, but just I don't see myself revisiting this. Like I'm a big Richard Curtis fan, and his signature like British romantic Christmas comedy was like totally like seen throughout this. I just maybe I'm just too old and too childish for this one to like hit childless, like for this to hit with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm older than you and I am childless like you. I
I know.
just
I also we're kind of like we're comparing apples to oranges here on this draft because it's like we've got like a cartoon, we have like a thriller that's coming up later compared to just like four Hallmark style like rom-com. So it's hard to make this list, and I just had to like this is a movie I won't watch again. So it ended up at number five on my list, but it's going to be number three on this list.
only because I vetoed it. I'm crushed. I love this movie. This movie very easily could have been my number one. And
Oh,
And in fact, it was my number one, and I
Oh,
was
I'm
shocked by
sorry.
it. It's okay. But if you remember when we first talked about doing this, we talked about doing like this sort of Fast Five Fridays,
Hmm.
theme. Um, but then I saw that Netflix added a sixth movie, and I was like, oh, darn it. So we almost didn't draft this one because it was an animation. We weren't sure what to expect, but
Yeah.
honestly, I loved it from start to finish. I mean, you get through the narration by Santa, and the first spoken words of a character are Jesus was a cool dude, right? Like the
Yeah.
Bernadette character, all of the characters, all of the kids that are in it are super good. The witty, snarky asides by the adults are hilarious, especially I think it's Mrs. Mulgi, who's like says things like, "The man's a moron, there's no getting around it." She's just like makes all these little mutterings under her breath that are really funny. I love Richard Curtis's books and his movies. I mean, you're talking like what, Four Weddings and a Funeral, Love Actually.
Love. Yes, love. I love his movies. I know.
I
Time.
love his movies. I
Yeah.
love that they poke fun of Love Actually. They're like, well, that's enough of that. And they
Yeah.
click it when it comes off. I laughed throughout this movie and I also cried a little bit. I mean, there are
Oh,
some really poignant moments. If you're a child of divorce, maybe you can relate to one of your parents not showing up when they said they were going to. Um, in Hallmark, if this little boy went to his teacher and said, wouldn't you like to come share this dessert with me? The teacher would say, yes, of course. And this one like slams the door in his face and says, go away, right? But they work it out towards the end. I loved that it was, similar to the Hallmark world, but also there are some definite different choices. The songs that were in there, that Ed Sheeran song had me in tears. It will not be on my
Kelly
playlist.
Clarkson.
Yeah, because it just made me cry. And it
Yeah.
was counterbalanced with, Kelly Clarkson's Underneath the Christmas Tree, which you can hear
Mhm.
every 13 seconds, no matter where you are in the world. But I love that. I love that song too. In fact, the promo post that I just did for this episode on our Instagram, I used that sound clip. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay. Um, but that's it. I'm glad that it's, at least three. I was hoping it would be higher, but I guess you and I will not be watching this movie again together next year.
I know, sorry. I guess aside from like the Disney cartoons I grew up with, like I'm not a big animation person, so
You're not. This one
uh,
was done by I was trying to remember who did this. The animators were Locksmith Animation. And I had read online that they actually started developing this in 2019. So it was a long time until it finally made it to air. Netflix acquired the distribution rights, with Netflix Animation then taking it over in 2022, but it's still 2024 before it got on anybody's screen. So, okay, that Christmas at number three.
I know. Sorry, it's a cute
Oh
movie.
my
I just
goodness. I cannot. Okay, so I know what my and you still have a veto. Darn it. Darn it. See, listeners, this is what I was talking about. Like she's very savvy, and I'm going to keep my fingers crossed here. I'm going to play at number two, Hot Frosty.
Vito.
Oh, Kate,
Sorry.
it's my number four. Hot Frosty was my
No.
number
Well, I'll
four.
explain it when we get to it. I'll get there.
Fine. Oh my God. I am reeling. I was right. I was right to be concerned. Okay, so my number two has to be Carry On, which
Mhm.
was my number three. All right, Kate, before I talk about this movie, yes or no, do you think Die Hard is a Christmas movie?
I do think Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Do
Yeah,
you?
so do I. Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
absolutely love it. We always watch White Christmas, Holiday Inn, and Die Hard every single year.
Beautiful.
It's a beautiful combination.
It's a great lineup.
It is a great lineup. So yeah, absolutely. All right, so Carry On. This is the one that just aired Friday night. We're recording this on Sunday night, Two Nights Later. So you've got Taron Egerton, who is like Rocket Man and Elton John, right?
Mhm.
You've got Jason Bateman, Arrested Development, the Ozark TV series. So he's good at comedy and a bad guy. Just love him to
Mhm.
death. And Sophia Carson, so she's in the Descendants movies. TJ Fixman and Michael Green were the writers. This was directed by Jaume Colette Serra. I had to look him up. I was not at all familiar with him. And the basic plot is the mysterious traveler. There's a threat on a plane, and Taryn is this TSA agent that's, being monitored through this listening bug device that he ends up in his ear. And it's Jason Bateman, not to give any spoilers, but Jason Bateman is the key bad guy there. Lots of twists and turns. It's very much a cat and chase scenario, right? And it's timed. He's got to be in certain places at certain times, or they're going to kill his girlfriend or kill people that he works with. Oh my gosh, speaking of people he works with, Kate, Dean Norris is in this.
Oh, I know.
Oh my God. I won't spoil it, but a very unexpected scene with Dean Norris that takes place.
Since we're talking about Dean Norris, I have to say, like, of course, I watched Breaking Bad back in the day, like everybody did, and that's like the first time that like a TV or movie death like just completely broke me. Like when they shoot him in the head in Breaking Bad, like major spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, I I felt a sense of loss. He created that character like so well, and like I still think of it as like one of my like hardest movie like TV deaths I've seen. Like so whenever I
You're
see
gonna
Dean
make me
Norris, I think of
cry.
him. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. He was in Under the Dome as well. I don't know if you
Hmm.
ever watched that or not,
Mm-mm.
but we watched it. He's really good in it. It's suspenseful, it's heart-stopping. I like horror movies that have jump scares in it, and to me this movie had jump kills. Like there were some unexpected scenes where all of a sudden someone just got shot or killed in some manner. And I was saying to my husband, I was like, wow, did not see that coming. Like I screamed a couple of times, like, oh my God, like did not expect that. People aren't necessarily who you think they are. I love that in these movies. I think the only reason that I had this at number three instead of two or one is that unfairly, I was comparing it to Die Hard. As good as Jason Bateman was, he was no Hans Gruber, right? He was not Alan Rickman, and I was missing as good as Taron Egerton was. I was missing like the snarkiness of the Bruce Willis,
Yeah.
right? That was the kind of thing. But Taron totally gives Tom Cruise a run for his money, pun intended, with all the running scenes and having to be dashing through like everything. I was like, I'm exhausted. This dude is exhausting me.
I know him and Tom Cruise need to do a running movie for sure.
They really should. They really should. I was like, oh my God. My husband said, oh my God, he's running again. How big is this airport? And I was like, just go, man, go. So it was really good. Lots of surprise kills. It was good. I'm not upset that this is, number two instead of number three. I'm just really upset that Christmas is number four. What'd you think of Carry On?
Yes, I actually have this at number two, and it's like the
Of
only
course you
reason
do.
the only reason I have it at number two, like objectively, it is the best movie out of these six movies. It is the best movie. But again, we're comparing like apples to oranges here with this Carry On and this like cute Christmas movie against like the cute animated Christmas movie against four like Hallmark style rom-coms. And I just thought that I needed to like stay true to the Hallmark movie drafts like contingent here and put a rom-com at the top. So that's why I put this at number one. It's like as if I needed another reason to avoid LAX, this movie did it for me. Like it completely stressed me out. They accomplished their goal with that. It's a really well done thriller. The sequence to Wham's Last Christmas in the freeway was amazing. Like totally stopped like and just staring at the screen. It was so good. Um, Really smart to cast Jason Bateman as a bad guy. I loved that. You know, I just like I have to be true to like what we do on this podcast, and I had to put a rom-com at number one. So
True.
yeah.
Is this a movie that you would watch again? Would you watch Carry On again?
I I would watch it again if there's someone I'm like hanging out with that hasn't seen it and like I'm like, yeah, we should watch this. Because a lot of people don't want to see my Hallmark movies, like everyone's just like hanging out. So
I know.
um, this is one I feel like I could recommend to a crowd. And Die Hard is one that I do like to revisit from time to time, but I don't know. Like this one was great. I don't know that I would just be like, hey, I'm gonna watch Carry On tonight.
Yeah, it did not inspire me to do any kind of air travel over the holiday season at all. I always had respect for the TSA agents. I do a lot of flying, but this one I was just like, wow, the way that people were talking to them was just like astonishing
I
to
mean,
me.
that's what they deal with all day. Like, total. I know, I
Exactly.
hate it. It's so sad.
Exactly.
Like, but still,
Great.
LAX is a, wait, we said we weren't going to cuss, but LAX is a shit show. Like, that place is crazy.
All right, full disclosure. So my go-to airline is Delta, so I can
Mhm.
access the Delta Lounge at LAX, which is really fabulous. But the
Mhm.
rest of LAX, total shit show. I agree.
So I live in Southern California and there's so many other airports. Like, I only go to LAX if it's like the only option. Like, there's so
Yeah,
many
like
other
if it's
choices here that you can avoid that place if you really want to.
they're probably the best for international for you, maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't do that too often. And even like, Orange County Airport
Orange
goes to
County.
Mexico. So like, I've got
Oh,
some
so you're
options
good.
here.
You have options.
Yeah.
Uh, Go ahead, play your number one. And you know that I love the lead actress in this movie. You know I am like diehard fan, but go
Yeah,
ahead.
okay. Queen of Christmas, Lacey Chabert's at number one with Hot Frosty. Okay, here's my thoughts on Hot Frosty. It is a totally bizarre movie that was really well written. Like, I'm on the record from the Brendan Penny Hallmark Movie Drafts episode back in March, singing the praises of Russell Heinlein. He wrote this movie. He has a way of taking these movies and sticking to the tropes, but then creating more developed characters and better dialogue. He like elevates these movies. And he also wrote 3 Hallmark movies a season that are all currently in my top 10 on my Countdown to Christmas ranking for the year. I'm glad his Netflix movie is getting all of this attention outside of normal Christmas rom-com circles because one of my favorite movie podcasts, The Big Picture, talked about this movie. Like I
Oh,
couldn't,
did they?
yeah, it's
Okay.
a really great episode if you want to
Okay, I'll
look it
give it a
up. But
listen.
I
Absolutely.
couldn't believe it, but they did. They talked about this movie. I guess there was like a New York Times review of it. Like this
There
movie's
was.
getting a lot of attention. I think Dustin Milligan's performance was adorable and charming. I don't think it was weird. I know you're already making a face. I think he did a good job with this part. Like it was funny and cute. Like, okay, we'll hear you. You want to stop and talk about Dustin Milligan right now?
No, no, go ahead, continue. I don't want to
Okay,
interrupt
like
you.
Lacey's like great in this as usual. Craig Robinson and Jello Truggio like totally got the assignment and were really funny in this. And I think this one won't soon be forgotten, and that's why it deserves number one.
Are you done? Look,
Okay, let's hear it.
full disclosure. Absolutely love the writing. I love Russell Heinlein's movies. He's got, 3 that you mentioned. He did The Santa Summit in Merry Measure, of course, is another one. I just watched The Santa Class, right? That just aired. I hope that he writes more movies that will be eligible for Hallmark movie drafts. He doesn't have enough yet in his portfolio, but you know
Mhm.
how we love to do uh, Hallmark writer-based
Yeah.
drafts, right? We did Julie Sherman. We've got Nina Weinman coming up in 2025. We've got a couple more that are scheduled for 2026. Actually, maybe two different drafts in 2026. So we're looking at you, Russell. We're looking at you.
I mean,
Keep
at the
turning.
rate he's going, he'll get there because he did 3 this year. Like,
He did 3 this year.
yeah,
Yeah, we need at least 10 for a 7 draft. My preference is always to do a 10 draft, so that would
yeah.
require at least 14. And I think the quality of his writing really deserves a 10 draft. So I'm happy to be, kind of patient for it. So those are the positives. Um, I loved Dustin Milligan. but I did not recognize Dustin Milligan from Schitt's Creek, one of my favorite series, in this movie at first. It took me a while. I was like, wait a second. I'm very curious to know. I would be very curious to know from Russell, did he write the first 20 or 30 minutes of that character, Jack, to be very elf-like? It was too elf-like. That's what I was finding in Jack initially, the cereal and this and the antics and the
Mhm.
franticness and everything. Just because I know who he is and I am a fan of Dustin's work, I was expecting something a little more mature, maybe different choices, but
Mhm.
maybe that's the way that section of the script was the focus. It just gave me too many elf vibes at the beginning, and I wasn't a fan. I love the movie Elf, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't expecting that for this. Okay. Lacey always knocks it out of the park. It's no
Mhm.
complaints there whatsoever. She can sell anything. She can sell a snowman coming to life and becoming her love interest. I have no problem, dialing into that fantasy. When Lindsay Lohan shows up on the TV screen and the little
Yeah.
Mean Girls reference, I mean that was cute for insiders. The ensemble cast is great. Craig Robinson is the gung-ho sheriff. He totally leans into that character and just, chews the scenery and goes for it. It's good. I liked this movie. It was number 4 on my list because I really, really loved that Christmas and then Our Little Secret and Carry On, and then this one. This one could have easily have been number 3 on my list,
Mhm.
um, but it wouldn't have been number 2 or number 1 on my list. I think the other positives of this was the whole community element where everybody was coming together towards the end.
Yeah.
Um, and I got totally choked up when Jack was like starting to, you know, die
We got like
basically.
a
And
Sleeping Beauty, like reverse
like this
Sleeping
sleeping.
Beauty.
Yes, yes. So yeah, congratulations, freaking Kate. You got your number. You got you. So was this your number 1 or was this your number 2?
This was my number one. I had Carry On at number two. Yeah.
Oh my God. So tell me your list. Tell me
Okay,
the list
so
really.
I can score it real quick. So 6 was The Merry Gentleman. 5, I had That Christmas. 4, I had Our Little Secret. 3 was Meet Me Next Christmas. 2, I had Carry On, and 1, I had Hot Frosty. So I got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 points, I guess.
Oh my God, you're ruthless.
Well, we both got 6 off the bat because all 6
That's true.
movies are on
That's
the
true.
list. But I
Thank
got 3
goodness for
in the
that.
right position.
So my list was at number 6, Merry Men. So I got that.
Mhm.
Number 5 was Meet Me Next Christmas. 4 was Hot Frosty. 3 was Carry On. 2 was Our Little Secret, and 1 was That Christmas. Math is too hard for me. I just know I lost. So,
You got 7, so because you got all
at
6
7.
on the list and 1 in the
Got
right
one
place.
extra point. This was so much. This was so much fun. I knew that you would trounce me. This was great. We both used our vetoes. This is a bonus show, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. It would have
Yeah.
carried over. But I think we did this in record time. What do you think of this format?
It was fun. Yeah, I know. I wonder like how to make it because the way we've done this, like we've made the vetoes like you can only use them to get higher, right? Because there's all 6 movies are going to be on the list. So I mean,
In
it's
this case, yeah.
added like a layer to the game. So it was fun.
All right. Once more, for the final time, this is the definitive ranked list of the 6 Netflix holiday movie premieres in 2024 by Lynn and Kate. Here we go. At 6, The Merry Gentleman. At 5, Our Little Secret. 4, Meet Me Next Christmas. 3, That Christmas. 2, Carry On. And at number 1, Hot Frosty. In January, coming up is the 10 best holiday movies of 2024. So that'll drop sometime in early to mid January. And then right around there as well is going to be the 2024 Hallmark Movie Drafts Tournament of Champions. And you're going to be part of that. There were 16 players this year that won their drafts. There were 16 because there were a couple of ties.
Yeah.
So just like last year, there'll be a series of shorter pods that'll drop with round one and round two, and then we'll have round three, which is the finals, and invite everybody that played this past year to sit in and then cast their votes live for whoever comes up with the best top 10 list based on the categories that we choose for that. I'm just bummed because you were such a big help last year and all the background planning with the surveys and the Google Docs and all these things that I absolutely hate. But now you can't be part of any of that because you're competing. So,
Well, maybe I'll get knocked out on the first round and then I can help
nah,
you.
I doubt it. Look at you with your number one and your number two, exactly where you want it, though. All right, Kate, this was so much fun. Let's say bye.
Hello.
Justice for that Christmas. Oh my
Oh.
God, who are you? Okay. Hallmark Movie Drafts is a monthly production. Stephanie Purcell creates the movie synopses using descriptions from IMDb or Hallmark.com as a base. Kate Bacca vets the list of eligible movies and manages our Letterboxd account called Hallmark Drafts, where you'll find the list of eligible movies for each show, as well as the final top 10 lists and the panelists who drafted them. Erin Beth Cermak creates the Where to Watch lists and the trivia round questions, and along with Stephanie and Kate, provides additional creative, research, and hosting support. I'm Lynn Alston. I'm the showrunner, producer, and host. I staff the panels, create the show topics, manage the production schedule and the HMD socials, and edit and publish the podcast. Intro and outro music is provided courtesy of Amato Zapana. Thank you to the Deck the Hallmark Double-Deckers, who share their passionate opinions on these Hallmark movies that we love, or maybe not love, so much.